Hi there, my name's Simon from CramTheExam and welcome to another video as I walk you through another English exam question to help you get ready for your English exams. In this video I'm going to have a look at a CAE Advanced Listening Part 2 Sentence Completion exercise, and you can find this exercise on the excellent website engexam.info, which has got plenty of resources to help you get ready for your CAE exam. You'll find a link to both this exercise and the website in the video description below this video, so please go and check it out. Okay, the part 2 sentence completion, just a few rules to go over. First of all, your answers are either a word or a short phrase, and there can be no spelling mistakes. At this level, you have to hit the nail on the head as regards spelling. Now, you can go with American English or you can go with British English. Either one would be fine. I would suggest consistency. So if you're going to go British, go British. If you're going to go American throughout the exercise. But those are the basic rules. As regards how you prepare for this, practice. Just get hold of as many of these part 2 exercises as you possibly can. And of course, as with all of the listening exercises, get used to listening to native English people speaking various different accents. And of course, YouTube, Dailymotion, any kind of video streaming website will help you doing this, not to mention the news channels. And if you can get hold of English TV, then sit down, watch that, get used to it, and if you practice, you will get better. Okay, so let's go through the answers and identify why the answers are the answers. As you can see in the script, the answers, where you'll find the answers, are highlighted, which makes my life a little bit easier and yours as well. So let's go through this. Richard and Matthew abandoned their boat because they couldn't get past something. So abandoning their boat. So you're listening out for this key piece of information in the listening. And it says, our original idea was to go all the way by boat. Our original idea, which suggests straight away there was a new idea. So this idea of going by boat will come to an end at some point. In terms of context, that context is helpful. And then at the end it says, then suddenly we realised as the river was about to go to a waterfall, we could go no further by boat. And then after, in the next paragraph, or in the next part of the listening, it says, we decided to abandon it. So here is your context of abandoning the boat. And the reason why they had to abandon it was because of the waterfall. Now, your answer that you give has got to be grammatically correct. So it's a small point, but an important point. Here you've got an article already, which means, for example, if you wanted to put an article in your answer would be wrong because it doesn't grammatically fit the sentence. So you've got to make sure that your answer, whatever it is, fits the grammar of the sentence. Next question, they decided to walk through the jungle as far as the something road marked on the map. Now, it says here, at the end of this next little bit, it talks about the map. So let's investigate this in this little section of the listening. As it was only a homemade thing, referring to the boat, we decided to abandon it, question number 1, and walk to the nearest road. As far as we knew, there were no villages or trading posts along the way, and on our map, in other words, this walk to the nearest road, looked like a 100-kilometre walk. So clearly, they decided to walk through the jungle as far as the road marked on the map. Now, for this website, road is correct and nearest road is incorrect, which I think is a little bit harsh. I would say nearest road is also correct, not just because I put that answer in and I had to correct it, so I get a nice green colour here, but because you can use a short phrase, which means a few words, in order to answer the question. And nearest road is no different to road, and certainly given the context, I would say it's okay. So if you've got nearest road, I would say your answer is correct. Richard says that during the work they were always both hot and wet. So let's investigate the next bit. And that walk through thick rainforest with 25 kilos on the back was difficult. We walked for 6 days. It was hot and we were permanently wet through. Now permanently links through to always. Now there's a little bit of artistic license here as regards always, both, and permanently, because you might think permanently only modifies wet. It doesn't necessarily modify hot, and I understand that argument, and from a precision point of view, you might be right. But the answer is looking for two things, and these two things both fit this context of how they were feeling, or the environment, and the way the environment made them feel. And so it would be reasonable to say that they were both hot and wet, which is why they're the correct answer. The first sign of human activity they found was a something. So far the conversation has said that they haven't met anyone. They were at times where we really wondered if we'd ever get out of that jungle alive. Then on the 7th day, we suddenly came across a path. And now it's important here. It says, not an animal trail. This links to first sign of human activity. So they came across a path, not an animal trail, but a man-made one. So we knew there must be people living there. So clearly the answer here is the path. Now, once again, you could say man-made path, and I would say that's absolutely fine. But maybe because of the way this website is programmed, it's looking for more precise answers, possibly. But man-made path, I would say, is okay, and path is also obviously okay. In the deserted camp, they found some soup made from unusual meat and vegetables, it says here, and then if we go back to the script, it says, nearby on a rough wooden table, so they're in the deserted camp, were some cooking utensils and a few other supplies, and whoever was camping there must have been intending to return soon, because there was a large pot full of thick soup. Seems like a reasonable assumption to make. If someone's made soup, they wouldn't just abandon it. And indeed, they found some soup made links to this part of this part of the listening. The vocabulary link is clear. We couldn't identify either the strange-looking pieces of meat or the unfamiliar vegetables it seemed to be made from. And clearly it says here, made from unusual, which links to we couldn't identify either. And of course the answer would be meat and vegetables. Richard says that by the time they'd reached the camp, they were lacking in energy. Over the previous 7 days, we'd only had flour and rice to eat. Although we had plenty left, we were low on energy. If you're low on energy, it means that you're lacking energy. And of course, this bit here, by the time they had reached the camp, this links to over the previous 7 days before they reached the camp. So clearly here, this is where we're going to find our answer, and our answer is, of course, energy. Richard said that after the meal, they began to feel worried about what they'd done. So they cooked up their rice and decided to have 2 spoonfuls from the pot, helping themselves to other people's food. It was good, so we had another spoonful, then another, and then soon nothing was left of our host's meal. Not very nice, is it? And then they said, afterwards we began to get worried. So would I if I ate someone else's food. And that's exactly the reason and the context why the answer is worried. Now what I've done there is I've made a classic mistake, and it's something to watch out for. When you're doing these listening exercises, you've got to put aside your own feelings. You've got to put aside any kind of subjective approach to the listening, what you feel, how you would react, what you think is going on. You're looking for vocabulary links. And it's an important point worth making, because many times in the past when I was teaching the Cambridge exams, very often, particularly from older students or from adults, I heard the explanation, I thought this was the case. And I understand that as perhaps as older adults, perhaps older students, perhaps as adults, you might start to interpret what you hear and start to apply your own subjective feelings to it. That's a dangerous thing to do, because if you do that, you may well get the answer wrong. So you're sticking to vocabulary links. So although I was having some fun with that question, I wanted to do that to introduce the important point of not making subjective decisions based on how you feel. And lastly, for number 14, before leaving the camp, they left the sum of $30 to thank their hosts. And it says here, to show we were grateful, we placed $30 in the cleaned out cooking pot. Well, that's not much fun. That's not much use, is it? You can't eat $30, can you? Okay, jokes aside, clearly the answer here is $30. And to thank their host, to show we were grateful. And of course, they did this contextually. You can see they did this before they left the camp. So plenty of links there, and that's why the answer is the answer. Okay, and there we go. If you have any questions at all about my explanations, if you want to challenge them, if you disagree with anything that I said, or want me to explain anything in more detail or in a different way, let me know. Put a comment below the video and I will get back to you. And remember, if you're studying for the CAE Advanced using one of the more popular course books on the market, go along to CramTheExam.info, where I might be able to help you out. So go along, check out my website, and I'll see you again soon with another English exam question.